Good morning. We will be starting the meeting shortly. If you can hear me and see me, you are all set for the event. You can already access the Slido by scanning the QR code or join by the website slido.com using the hashtag. See you all shortly. Good morning and welcome to the European Urban Initiatives Q&A session dedicated to our third call for proposals. My name is Maya Walker and I am a project officer here at EY and I'm joined by my colleague.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Isabella Schnipple and I'm also a project officer at the EY Permanent Secretariat.
Today, our focus is answering your questions in relation to our new Innovative Actions call. We will be using Slido to collect your questions. Slido is an online platform accessible via mobile using the QR code on the screen, or you can go to slido.com through your browser and enter the hashtag. Ask your questions on the Q&A tab on Slido and don't forget to give a thumbs up to any questions you are interested in. For your information, the Microsoft Teams chat today will be disabled, so please don't forget to post your questions on the Slido. The focus of today's questions are really the technical questions related to the applying for the call. If you have any questions about the topics, so energy transition or technology in cities, please do email us with those questions and we can provide a more tailored response. So to kick off today, we've already prepared a little quiz on Slido. You can already log into Slido. So you scan the QR code or enter via slido.com and I will give you guys a moment to do that. Isabella, whilst we're waiting for our audience to get set up on Slido, can you tell us about the new call?
Yes, so our third call is our last big call in the initiative. We have 90 million euros ERDF available, and each project can ask for up to 5 million euros ERDF. So it's your last chance to get funded in our big call. And the call closes on the 14th of October at 2 p.m. Central European time, which means Brussels time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Isabella. We are really looking forward to lots of applications for our last big call. I hope we'll get lots of new faces joining us for this round of applications. And yeah, we're really, really excited to be here with you and help you on this process. So please don't hesitate to join the Slido by scanning the QR code on the screen now, or you can use slido.com and enter the hashtag. So I think we are now ready to start the first quiz question. So our backstage team should have already activated the quiz for you. Thank you all so much for joining. It's fantastic to see you here with us. So the first question we have today is, what is the maximum project duration for an EUI Innovative Actions project? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 3.5 years, or 5 years? Have a go at answering the question, and I wonder if we can now take a look at the results of the first quiz question. Fantastic. You've already begun to answer. That's brilliant. And it looks like 82% of you have answered with 3.5 years. Isa, over to you with the correct answer.
So the correct answer is 3.5 years, because the years are reserved for the actual implementation of the project, to implement all project activities and the project investments. And then we have 6 months at the end in order to close the project, to do the final evaluation, to communicate the final project results. That's why the total duration is a maximum 3.5 years. And we actually recommend you to go for the maximum duration of 3.5 years, because sometimes we have proposals that ask for less time, but actually it's recommended to have the maximum.
Yes, you will be implementing complex, innovative projects, so take all the time within the framework to do that, the full 3.5 years. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Isabella. We now have a second question, which we'll move on to now.
Yes, so our second question is, do I have to submit the application form in English? So we'll give you some time to answer, and then I will ask Maya to tell me the correct answer. So we have 10 people that answered so far. Let's wait 1 more minute.
We can take a look at the results so far, I think. Yeah, if we share the results. Do I have to submit the application form in English? Okay, it looks like 73% of you have said yes. Well, the correct answer is actually no, you do not have to submit the application form in English. It can be submitted in any EU language. However, we cannot guarantee the quality of the translation of your application form. So those 73% of you that said yes, that is absolutely fine. We actually prefer you to submit in English, and the EUI guidance actually strongly recommends you to do so. So please, if you can, submit your application form in English. Fantastic. Thank you for all your participation in those 2 quiz questions. It looks like we have several of you who got the 2 questions right. Well done. Fantastic. That's brilliant. Thanks again for your participation. I also note that we've got more people in the room than we have joining us on Slido. So don't forget to scan the QR code and you can join us. Okay, I think we are now ready for the official start of the online Q&A and your questions. So having a look at the Slido now, I'll see if there are any questions already prepared. And it looks like we already have a nice financial question relating to co-financing. So Isabella, I'm going to ask you this question. For the 20% co-finance of the project, can you give 2 to 3 examples of types of in-kind co-finance from the municipality?
Yes, so maybe to give a bit more information about these questions to those that are a bit less familiar with this 20% of co-financing. So EUI projects, they get 80% of funding from us, and then they have to provide 20% of own co-financing in order to have 100% of the project budget. So these 20% can be provided either in the form of cash. So that's what happens, like I would say in 90% of the cases. which means it's co-financed by staff or like own resources from the municipality and all delivery partners, because each partner has to cover this 20% of co-funding. And now the question that Gergana is asking is about what happens if I don't want to co-finance my project with cash, but with in-kind contribution. So in-kind means that it's a value that is like more or less equivalent to cash. So let's say this can be land, this can be buildings. So those are the two examples, I mean, the most common examples that we have. Let's say that the project is located or will be around a building, and the municipality owns the building and they want to bring in this building as 20% co-financing. So this is totally possible, no problem at all. And then in the application form, you have to put the value of the building as your in-kind contribution. And actually, as the value might be quite high, it might even cover the contribution of some of the partners.
Absolutely, yeah. So is it possible for one project partner to cover the contribution of another project partner?
Yes, that's no problem at all. And in order to do that in the application form, you have to select then, for example, the municipality as the source of contribution, which means that the municipality is then covering the co-financing of another one or several other project partners.
So cash or in-kind can come from public or private resources, external or internal to the project. If you have in-kind contribution, it can be a building, as Isabella just described, or it can be land. If it's land, it is limited to 10% of the project budget, unlike real estate, which can cover the full 20% of your contribution. Another important thing to remember is that if you are including in-kind contribution in your application form, then this needs to be highlighted in two places in the application form. It needs to be highlighted in the partners contribution section, but it also needs to be highlighted and described in the budget description of your work package budget. In kind, two places in the application form. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Isa, for that answer. And it looks like we're already starting to get other questions. So I hand over to you to put me on the spot for the next question.
So we have already several other questions. So I'm going to take the next one. Can a municipal agency or municipal company apply as a main urban authority?
So the straightforward answer is no, that is not possible. We have three types of eligible, or three categories of eligible authority in the EUI guidance, and I encourage you to have a look at that section. In all cases, it is a local administrative unit or a city or a municipality which can apply. In the case of a municipal agency or a municipal company, they are eligible as delivery partners, but please note they are not eligible as lead partners in an EUI Innovative Actions project. So that is worth noting. Fantastic. Let's take a look at some more questions that we've got from our audience. So, yep, I will take this one here that we have highlighted on the top of the screen. Do I have to launch a tender to select delivery partners?
Yes, so this depends a bit on the country that you're from. I mean, there are some countries that require, in order to launch your project, that you have to launch a public tender to select the delivery partners in order to, for equal treatment. Some other countries, they don't have any specific rules, and there you can just select the delivery partners yourself. So please check what rules are applicable in your country.
Great. So national legislation is important to consider, you're telling me, but also it's not mandatory, but we encourage you to identify your delivery partners through fair and equal treatment, which, if that means in your case, procurement process is fine, but it's not mandatory. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Fantastic.
So let's take the next question asked by Laura. Could you clarify what an eligible authority is? Specifically, can a public transport operator or transport authority apply?
Thank you for this question, and this is actually quite similar to the previous question that we had. So an eligible authority is essentially what we would call a tier of local government. So they have the political competencies and elected representatives. So an urban authority is, or a municipal entity is the only type of eligible authority that can apply. And we really encourage you to go to chapter 1.5 of the EUI guidance and read up on eligible authorities. They are the only eligible type of authority to apply as a lead partner in an EUI project. To take the second part of your question, specifically, can a public transport operator or transport authority apply? They are not able to apply as a lead partner, but they can absolutely be included as a delivery partner in an EUI project. So what happens in an EUI project is that the municipality is responsible for bringing all the relevant partners around the table to create a strong partnership. And if your project is focusing on transport, I understand it would make perfect sense to have the transport authority or the transport operator included in your partnership. But as a reminder, they are not eligible as a lead partner. I hope that answers your question. Okay, moving on. We have another question from Alessandro. And Isabella, over to you. May SMEs apply to this call together with municipalities?
Yes, that's totally possible. So SMEs are very welcome to form a partnership with municipalities and be included in the project partnership. However, as Maya already explained, it has to be the municipality that officially submits the project proposal as so-called lead partner, and the SME will then be a so-called delivery partner. And other partners in the partnership could, for example, be an NGO or a university or some other private partners or non-governmental partners.
Absolutely, thank you. That's really clear. I hope that has also answered your question. Okay, moving on. It looks like we have another similar question.
Yes, so can private companies be part of the consortium, or might they be selected by partners as subcontracting during the implementation?
So I think I understand this question as, can private companies be part of the partnership? Yes, they can. That is absolutely fine. But also, if you maybe, I don't know, undertaking a renovation of a building and you might need to go out and contract a supplier during project implementation, that is absolutely fine as well. So it's not necessary to have, you can do both, if that makes sense. Do you agree with that answer?
Yeah. I do agree. And actually be aware that the partnership composition is quite important. So if you consider that this partner is very important, it might be good to have it as a delivery partner. But if the partner has a minor role, that yes, it can be done via subcontracting. Yeah. Maybe just a short reminder, if there's one question that you like a lot, don't hesitate to like it so that it goes to the top and that we're then sure to answer it during the session today.
Fantastic, thank you. We're getting lots of similar questions here on the partnership, so I do feel like this is a hot topic and a lot of them are quite similar, but we will keep answering them and hopefully the message will be clear. But again, can NGOs, for example, a climate agency created by the municipality, apply for the call?
So they will have to be included as delivery partners, and it has to be the municipality that actually applies for the call. But as part of the partnership, that's totally okay.
Absolutely. And I think, again, it's really key here that you have all the partners around the table in order to implement your innovative solution. But in every case, it is the urban authority who is responsible for to be the lead project partner in a proposal. A follow-up question.
Yes, so would that mean delivery partners can be SMEs, NGOs, public transport operators, and they can get money to execute specific tasks?
Absolutely. So in your application form, you will include the details of the main urban authority and every single delivery partner in the project. You will create a work plan and you will allocate specific budget for the completion of activities and deliverables for each project partner. So that is absolutely the case. Delivery partners have allocated budget to implement the innovative solution, and absolutely that is the case. So great follow-up question. Thank you for that, Laura. And now, is it my time to ask you a question? I think it is. So. Okay, great. We have some other questions here. I'm just going to filter on the starred ones. So I think now it might be a nice moment to move on to the next question. So if I understand, let's go with this one that's highlighted. It makes our lives easier. Here we go. Can a city that was awarded an Urban Innovative Actions project apply? So to be clear, Urban Innovative Actions is our predecessor initiative. Can a city that was awarded a Urban Innovative Actions project apply?
Yes, that's possible. What is not possible is that a city applies that has already been funded in Call 1 or Call 2 of the EUI initiative. But if you were awarded an UI project, so Urban Innovative Actions project, that's totally possible to reapply and get funded.
Fantastic. Thank you for that question. Okay, moving on to another question. Yes. I'm happy to take the one from Berta.
Okay, so let's go with the question from Berta. Can studies or surveys be conducted by a delivery partner and not an external expert? And can they account for its in-kind contribution?
Yes, they can, but the key thing is that these studies need to take place before the implementation of the project. But in principle, yes, that's absolutely fine. You will need to get the monetary value of that study assessed by an independent evaluator, but that's not a problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it looks like we have another question highlighted from Alice. Will there be further calls for proposals? And if so, do you already have information on the topics and the timetable?
Yes, so I think that's a very important question that we get quite often. So yes, there will be another call. However, we don't have that much information about it yet. So we don't know what will be the value of the projects that that projects can ask for, or what are the topics, what is the timetable. So this information will be released very soon. However, at the current stage, we cannot tell you more. We just know that this will be our last big call, so to say. So if you would like to apply for maximum up to 5 million euros, so that's your last chance.
Absolutely. This is our last big call, the last opportunity to apply under a kind of a big call with 5 million euros ERDF available. So don't hesitate. If you've got a project idea in mind, you're not quite sure, you're on the fence, get off the fence, apply. We are here to help you, and we will support you during the preparation phase of EUI. Okay.
So we have another question from Aurélie. What is the deadline for the call, and when do we know about the results?
Fantastic. Yeah, this is a very important question as well. So the call deadline is the 14th of October. So you have a few months from now, and it will close officially at 2 p.m. Brussels time on the 14th of October. When we will announce the results. So indicatively, we hope to be able to announce the results in March 2025. What that then means is that we have something called the initiation phase for a period of 6 months, where selected projects are then able to undertake a kind of contractual obligations, etc. And that anticipates being finished in September 2025. That means that the start date, the beginning of the eligibility period for Call 3 projects is October 2025. So do factor that in when you are designing your project proposals. Great. Moving on to the next question. And I think it's nice to now move maybe on to transfer cities. So the question we have from Aurélie is, do transfer cities need 50,000 inhabitants?
So no, this is not necessary. This only applies to main urban authorities that are the main lead partner of projects. Transfer cities, they can have less inhabitants. However, they have to be urban, which means degree of urbanization 1 or 2. Yes.
Yes,
Anything you would like to complement, maybe, Maya?
Yes, absolutely. So that is correct. No threshold for minimum number of inhabitants. Must be considered city, town, or suburb. So degree of urbanization code 1 or 2. And it's worth remembering that out of the MUA plus the 3 transfer partners, at least 2 of the 4 must come from less developed or transition regions. And every single, that all 3 transfer partners must come from different EU member states, and they must come from a different EU member state from your lead partner, the main urban authority. So I hope that answers your question. And moving on very nicely. Thank you, James. How can I find, sorry, you're asking me a question.
Yeah, I think I will follow up with the transfer
Sorry, everyone.
partner question to you, but thank you very much for the additional information, Maya.
No problem.
So as we're already talking about transfer partners, how can actually applicants find transfer partners for their innovative projects?
Absolutely. This is a really good question. So we've actually developed a tool on Portico, which is our another host website on our website, called the Urban Matchmaker. And on this tool, if you are a city interested in becoming a transfer partner, you can post on the Urban Matchmaker, and your interests to become a transfer partner will be shared with the wider EU community and people also applying. It's also possible for main urban authorities who are looking for transfer partners in order to submit their proposal. You can also post on there as well, saying that you will be implementing an innovative solution on this topic and give some details. And then transfer partners can also directly contact you. So yeah, Urban Matchmaker on Portico. What we can do is send a link after this meeting to that tool so that you can have a look and make your posts.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. Don't forget to like any questions that you're interested in. Looks like we've got one here. Can affiliated entities of municipalities, such as development or environmental agencies, be put in the place of the main urban authority?
I think we answered this already earlier. So it has to be a main urban authority that applies for the call, that officially submits the application form. And development and environmental agencies, they can be part of the project partnership. They can be a delivery partner. They can also have a higher budget than the main urban authority. They can have a key role, for example, be involved in the project management. Yeah, that's possible, but in the end, it is the main urban authority that has to apply and that will sign the partnership agreement and the subsidy contract with us. So those main urban authorities have the financial and legal responsibility towards the initiative.
Absolutely, but I can see why we're getting lots of questions on this, because the topics often, there's key partners within your local urban areas that may have more expertise possibly to kind of drive these projects. So I just want to highlight page 35 of the EUI guidance. It is expected that the project management is carried out by the staff of the main urban authority. However, delegation to another project partner or outsourcing of part of the project management is feasible based on an appropriate justification and provided that the MUA retains the ownership. MUA, Main Urban Authority, is always the lead partner responsible for submitting an EUI project. However, as I just described, if the project management is better suited to another project partner, like a development agency, you can justify in your application form that this partner is responsible for project management. However, the main urban authority still needs to retain the ownership of the project. So please go to page 35 of the EUI guidance if that applies to you, because I think maybe this is why some of these questions are coming through and that might be helpful. But as a reminder, it is always the main urban authority lead partner of the project, and only in very specific and justified cases would we expect project management to be by someone else. If you're unsure, any doubts, email us.
Okay. Thank you, Maya. So we have another question from Gergana, and this question was actually liked twice. So I think I will ask it to you now, Maya. So the call is targeted as innovative projects, but what is innovative in Bulgaria may be history in Sweden. How is that taken into consideration in the evaluation?
So quite a tough question. So I think with all of our proposals, it is a competitive call. There is an expectation that our projects are innovative. And we really ask you to consider what's going on in the wider EU landscape. And you do need to justify the added value of your project in the context of innovation. So it might be that you're doing things in a new way. It might be more of an evolutionary approach rather than a completely revolutionary approach. So I think in all cases, yeah, this is a competitive call and we need you to really justify the added value and innovation of the project. So I hope that answers your question. Benchmarking is important in this as well. What else is going on in the EU? But any more specific kind of topic related questions, send us an email. We can get back to you on that. Okay, moving on to another question about lump sums. Lump sums for project preparation phases, is it the case that they are awarded only to successful applicants who sign the funding agreement?
So yes, that's correct. Only successful applicants will get the lump sum for project preparation and as well for the initiation phase. Projects that are unsuccessful, unfortunately, will not get any funding from us.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you, Isabella, for that clear answer. Moving on to the next question.
Yes, so do investments need to have complete design, cost documentation or permits already available at application submission?
So no, this is not required at the application stage. However, you will find in the application form when you're describing your investments that we already ask you to consider what type of permits or technical documentation that you might need to sort when you are implementing your project. And obviously this is very much considered when your project is being assessed with regards to project readiness, the extent to which you have already thought about these key elements. If you already have them, absolutely feel free to say so, but if you don't, it is not mandatory.
Okay, great. Thank you, Maya. So we have another question from Laura. Would you like me to ask the question?
With your help, maybe, Isabella. Hang on. Could you clarify what conditions exist for subcontracting, for example, to the project management of the project?
So subcontracting, that's possible in the sense that you can launch a public tender if you're a public entity, or as a private partner, check the applicable rules, and then you can subcontract, for example, a private company in order to do your project management or communication or other tasks. For project management, please keep in mind that you will have to explain that the main urban authority still keeps the ownership of the project, and that they still know what's going on in the project, how certain tasks are carried out, so for subcontract it is possible, but the main urban authority still has to play a key role in the project. So the subcontractor will then be a support of the main urban authority. That's the main idea.
But you do really need to justify why you are choosing this method, and it would be, for example, possibly related to the expertise of the other project partner. It happens in very rare cases. It's not common. So you really need to think about whether this is the relevant to your solution and will help improve the efficiency and the development of your solution. And you still need to have the ownership of the MUA in the project. I didn't mean to open a can of worms there for you, Isabella, but I'm conscious that we have been getting a lot of questions about whether municipal companies owned by the urban authority can be the lead partner, etc. So it's still the main urban authority that is the lead partner in a project, and still retains ownership, and in most cases undertakes the project management as well. Okay,
Okay.
Next question. I'm
Yes.
happy to take this one.
Okay, so we have a question from Pedro. Does a regional authority composed of several municipal authorities classify as main urban authority?
So my initial response to this would be no. A regional authority, so at the level, not a tier of local government, would not be considered an eligible authority, but I can't give you a clear answer without actually having more information. So please do email us and we can give you feedback regarding eligibility of such a case, because every member state has their own context, their own kind of legislation with regards to this. So it would be better for us to receive your question via email at innovativeactions@urban-initiative.eu. And also don't forget 1.5 chapter of the EUI guidance regarding eligible authorities as a first step to assess this matter. Okay, moving on to another question. I just need to go back to Slido on my screen. Okay, for you, Isabella, can you give an example of a successful project partnership structure, number and type of partners, etc.? Nice question.
Yes, so a project partnership should be composed by, well, first of all, the main urban authority that will then submit the project proposal. And then it really depends on what the project is about. I mean, often project partnerships include universities that are more involved in tasks related to the scientific part of the project, if there's any, or they do the monitoring and evaluation of the project. But I mean, it's not mandatory to have any of the partners that I'm going to list now. But I mean, that's what we see often in project proposals, that there's a university. We often see that there's, for example, an NGO that is maybe specialized in the topic of the project, or in certain specific tasks, or maybe in citizen engagement activities. Then SMEs or other private partners that are that have specific expertise that is necessary in order to implement the project. So it's not really that there's one perfect solution. It really depends on what you're planning to do. And as well, in terms of project size, I mean, I would say like only a city with one partner, that's maybe a very small partnership. So consider maybe adding more partners than only 2, and having maybe more than 10 partners might be difficult to manage, because you also have to keep in mind that you will have the additional 3 transfer cities that will be involved in your project. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend maybe to go for more than 10 partners, but if it's needed for your project solution, you also can do that. I mean, it's not that this will be negatively seen. Consider, we reflect on which partners need to be there, and they should be there, as the project partnership is one of the parts that will be evaluated.
Yeah, absolutely.
By external experts. So
and that's a really good point, actually. So you can find in our EUI guidance the the strategic assessment sort of evaluation grid, I suppose. In the partnership section, one of the key things that they look at, you can find this in the guidance, is the composition of the partnership is balanced with regards to the relevant governance levels in sectors, vertical, horizontal, multi-level and multi-stakeholder cooperation. Ideally, the quadruple helix is represented in the partnership. So definitely go away and have a look at the definition of what the quadruple helix is. Okay.
Maybe as well, if you want to get some inspiration, you can also look on our website, projects that are already being funded. There you can also see the partnership composition. If you're really unsure, I mean, you can have a look at some of the projects.
Absolutely. I think it's always really good to think to yourself, okay, is there anyone missing here? Is there anyone that should be included if I'm implementing a project of such nature? So yes, certainly. Thank you very much, Isabella. So moving on to our next question.
So is it possible to get concrete information on why our previous application was not successful?
I'm happy, to take this question. So there is in the guidance section on the complaints procedure, you can always contact us with questions. There are some timelines attached to that. So it depends at what stage this application was not successful. So whether it was at the strategic assessment stage or the operational assessment stage, but we also always do send the full assessment of any project with the assessment undertaken by either the external assessors at strategic assessment or the operational assessment, which is undertaken by the Permanent Secretariat. Next question, which is also a very popular question. Can I apply as a lead partner, so the main urban authority, and as a transfer partner? So I'm assuming one proposal is MUA, one proposal you're a transfer partner. Is that possible, Isabella?
Well, it's possible to apply, but it's not possible to be funded. So if then both project proposals are successful, you will have to choose with either being lead partner as main urban authority or being transfer partner in one of the proposals. But in terms of application, yes, you can submit and be part of two proposals.
Absolutely, but this is just the case in the case of being a main urban authority in one proposal and being a transfer partner in another proposal. You can only apply as a main urban authority or an associated urban authority in one proposal per call. So if you are thinking of applying twice as main urban authority, don't, because you will be rejected at the eligibility check stage. Next question. Now, how many municipalities can participate in the same project? I'm happy to take that question. So you are talking about within the different eligible urban authorities, there is an option to, under the second category, to be an organised agglomeration, and under the third category, voluntarily, municipalities can join to submit a proposal. I think typically we do ask that you try to limit the number of municipalities involved, because this can be more. We're looking for local innovation, local ecosystems that are city-led. So I wouldn't really anticipate having too many main urban authority plus associated urban authorities. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
I think that's, I would have said the same, Maya. And I see that also Laura, she asked more or less the same question. So I think that normally we should have covered this as well.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to consider that if you are applying as more than one municipality and you're not an organised agglomeration fixed by national law, but you're applying voluntarily, that you that the municipalities ideally are territorially contiguous, so they are close by, because again we are looking for local innovation projects. Okay, moving on to another question. And again, similar to the questions we've already had, but if people are jumping in later into the session, I'm happy to answer this one again. Can a Metropolitan Transport Authority classify as a main urban authority?
Yeah, so here the answer is no. A transport authority should be listed as so-called delivery partner, as one of the project partners in the partnership, and not as main urban authority. Only public entities, public authorities can apply as lead partner and can submit a project proposal.
Great, thank you very much, Isabella.
Okay, so we have another question from Gergana. Can you tell us exactly where on your website we can find past successful project? Is it under innovative actions, status completed? So Maya, can you navigate us through the website?
Navigate you through the website. So if you just enter the European Urban Initiative website, you can find our projects funded under Call 1 of EUI by just selecting along the toolbar along the top, Innovative Actions, and that will take you to the 14 projects that were funded under Call 1. So that's on the homepage, and then on the toolbar at the top, you have the button Innovative Actions. 14 projects there. We don't have the details of the Call 2 projects up yet, as they have just started their initiation phase. So this is part of what they will be doing in the initiation phase, but there will be a news article about them. So if you go on news and events, you should be able to find the article. And that will only have a brief summary of the projects at this time, but eventually they will also appear on the Innovative Actions projects page, which I described first. One thing that might be useful as well is that if you, in the toolbar at the top, you have the writing the initiative, and then you have about the European Urban Initiative, what is EUI, etc. If you go all the way to the far right, there is a navy section, and you've got a link to our predecessor initiative. Oh, wow, fantastic. We're even getting a show and tell. So if you go to the initiative, on the far right, you also have a link to Urban Innovative Actions, which is where you will find our predecessor initiative. And there you will find 86 innovative projects funded via our predecessor initiative, to give you an idea of the types of projects that were funded before. Obviously, EUI has taken a lot of learning from UIA and how we've built it, we've improved it. So also a helpful kind of benchmark tool to use. I would also, at this moment, now you're on Innovative Actions, here are the 14 innovative projects that were funded under Call 1. You can find all the information there. Yeah. And then under the news and events, if that's where we were going to go, our wonderful backstage team. Thank you, Kathleen. There should be a news article here somewhere with all the details of Call 2. I think it's probably View All News. Yes, exactly. You should find the most recent ones. We can send a link in an email after if that's helpful. And here's the project list from UIA. So you'll find lots of projects. We had a topic on energy transition under UIA, if I remember correctly. We had similarly digital transition. Mm-hmm. So do take a look, understand the types of projects that they were implementing. Always useful as an example to benchmark and justify the added value of your potential solution. Also good for looking at the types of partnerships that we've had, how municipalities build their partnerships, etc. So thank you very much to our backstage team. That was very helpful. Moving on to a next question. Do I have to have the final transfer partners for the submission?
So at application stage, you will have to define other regions in Europe or other cities that could be interested in a solution, and in order to show that actually your project solution can be replicated and can be implemented elsewhere, that there's a need for this solution not only in your city but as well on a European scale. So it's important to demonstrate this need for your solution on European level in the application form. And ideally, you also identify already these other cities, meaning you list them, you do a study, you Google, you check which other cities are facing similar challenges as you are facing, and then you precisely mention the cities. You can already contact them and see if they would be interested in your proposal. If you want to go one step further, you don't have to submit and annex any documents that show that these partners are on board. At application stage, it's only indicatively, but and you will have to select them then during the initiation phase. But at application stage, we highly recommend that you already reflect and list some other cities.
Absolutely. So at the application stage, it's not mandatory, but we would recommend that you do so. And again, having a look at urban areas with conditions, we say conditions favourable for transfer, which might be similar to characteristics, similar context. And of course, if you've already started to have conversations, tell us that you've done so. So thank you, Isabella. Thank you, very helpful.
Okay, let's take the next question from Laura. So if I understand correctly, for the lead partner, a must is an urban eligible partner, and private companies can be part of the partnership, but they cannot be the lead partner. Is that correct, Maya?
Perfect. Absolutely understood. Well done, Laura. Thank you. Moving on to another question. Is that the same question still highlighted? Bear with me.
I think it's a different one.
It's a different one.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay for this question?
Yeah.
Right. The follow-up. Would that mean deliverable partners can be SMEs, NGOs, public transport operations, get transferred monies to execute specific tasks? I think we've had this question already, but let's answer it again.
Yes, in case someone joined a bit later. Yes, that's possible. Delivery partners can be SMEs, NGOs, public transport operators, can be universities, any other public or private entity can be delivery partner and execute specific tasks and have a budget and get funding in order to carry out these tasks.
Fantastic.
So another question from Laura. Can an SME join a different consortium? So can a SME be part of two different project proposals? I think that's the question.
Yes, they can. Unlike the main urban authority, delivery partners can be included in more than one project proposal per call. But obviously, in every case, you would need to justify the inclusion of that transfer partner, and they would need, sorry, not transfer partner. In every case, you would need to justify the inclusion of that delivery partner, and they, of course, would need to be relevant for the implementation of the innovative solution. But yes, delivery partners can be involved in more than one project proposal per call. So I hope that answers your question. I think the next question, which is quite relevant on the topic of transfer, is do I need to provide letters of intent from delivery partners?
No, at application stage, you don't need to provide any letters of intent. You only need to list your delivery partners in the project proposal. You need to assign specific tasks to these delivery partners and give them a dedicated budget. So by doing this, we assume or we understand that these delivery partners are on board. You have actively been involving them at application stage. And as the city will then officially submit the project proposal, we count that the city makes sure that then once the project is awarded, these delivery partners are really on board and they sign the partnership agreement. But at application stage, we don't need any supporting documentation from the delivery partners. Actually, in the annex, what we would like to see, so it's possible to submit one annex to your application form, and there is helpful is, for example, a map of the area, or I don't know, maybe an overview of your intervention logic, or a drawing of the building if you have any, or pictures or something like this. But we don't need any letters of intent
for delivery partners. So actually, how would they formalize if they are selected? Can you tell our audience a bit more about how they would formalize the project partnership after being selected contractually, I suppose?
Yeah, so we will sign a subsidy contract with the main urban authority, and then the delivery partners, they have to sign a so-called partnership agreement, where they become then official part of the partnership. And their roles and obligations are then written down in this partnership agreement. Yeah.
Great.
So I see that we don't have that many questions left. So we have 10 minutes that are remaining in this session. So if you have any last question, please go ahead submitting it so that we can answer it.
Next question, which I keep reading my own questions. Sorry, everyone.
I think that's fine. So the next question is, a few times you mentioned if we have questions, we can email you. Can you please share the email address? Apologies if it has been shared previously. So I think that's a good question.
At the end of the session, we will have a slide on kind of how we continue to support you, and absolutely on one of those slides is our email address. I'll say it out loud now, but it will also be on one of the presentation slides at the end of the call. But the email is innovativeactions@urban-initiative.eu, but it will be on one of the slides shortly. On our website as well, you often have buttons, submit a question, and they will go to the same email addresses. So you have a contact us section on the website as well, but we'll share the email address in writing on the screen at the end of today as well. So yeah, no apologies, absolutely fine. Understand that is something helpful for you all. Next question for Isabella. Could you further specify how the contribution of the MUA might cover the contribution of other project partners?
Yes, so when you include the project budget of your proposal in the application form, the system will automatically calculate that you receive 80% ERDF from us, and that 20% need to be provided by each project partner. So you will see the budget per project partner, and you will see that there's 20% that needs to be provided by the partner. And then we have a section called partner contribution section, where you will have to specify if this 20% contribution is provided in the form of cash. So that happens like 90% of the cases. It's own funding resources from the partner that will be provided, or from the city. And that will, for example, in the form of staff, or
absolutely,
cash. And then you can also select in-kind contribution. We talked about this earlier. It can be buildings, land, studies, or something like this. And if the main urban authority would like to cover the contribution of one of the project partners, you will have to select as source of contribution under this project partner, the main urban authority. So you will see there's the project partner, there's the 20%, and then you will have to add a line and say that the main urban authority is covering this contribution of the project partner. You would not see that then the budget of the MUA is increasing, or that the 20% then automatically goes to the partner. No, this won't happen in the system. It will just mention that actually these 20% are covered by the main urban authority. And then once your project is approved, you can then discuss these details between the project partner and the main urban authority, how this can be ensured. But at application stage, we will see it in the partner contribution section.
Yeah, there is a section in the application form called partner's contribution, where you will explain in the description box there whether this is the case, who is covering the contribution of another project partner, and how much, because it doesn't necessarily have to be the full 20% of each partner. It could be a proportion. And it doesn't always have to be the MUA who covers the contribution. It could be another project partner covering the contribution of other project partners. That is entirely up to you how you decide to manage this with your project proposals. We've got only a few moments left, so really last chance to post any questions you might have before we move to the close of the meeting. But looks like we've got one question left. 2 questions left. So let's take these, shall we?
Yes. So let's take maybe the question from Alexandro to make sure that this is answered. Are overhead costs funded by the call?
Overhead costs meaning?
So I think overhead costs are Alexandro, please correct me if I'm wrong, and please reformulate your question in case we misunderstood it. But I think that overheads are like, he's talking about lump sums. So we have some lump sums in the project, for example, and we also have flat rates for staff costs, for administration, and for travel costs. So these are automatically calculated by the system. Not sure.
So we have a preparation phase lump sum, which is paid to you during the first advance payment for the project if you are selected. So that would pay for the preparation of your application form if you are successful and selected. Travel and accommodation is a flat rate based on other budget categories. And similarly, there is one other one, which is a flat rate as well. That's a simplification method and helps reduce the amount of audit trail that you have to do. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So
but you can always email us if you want a better, if it was something different, because we are reaching the end of the session now. We will take the last question, I think, before we head to the close. So who can I talk to see if my project Energy Communities is sufficiently innovative?
So you can always send us an email if you have a specific question about one of the 2 topics that we have for this call, so energy transition and technology in cities. However, when it comes to the innovativeness, I mean, this is something that you have to demonstrate in your project project proposal.
Yeah.
You have to explain it, you have to do your benchmarking, list other projects that are similar, but explain how your project is going one step further. So it's a bit difficult to answer. We can't tell you before you actually submit your application that your project is 100% innovative.
Also, it's worth noting that this part of the assessment is assessed by our external assessors who have the expertise and the knowledge to really assess the level of innovation within a specific topic. One thing that might be helpful is on our Call 3 page, at the bottom of the Call 3 page, you will see the topic presentations, one for energy transition and one for technology in cities, that was presented by the European Commission on the 23rd of May. In that presentation, there are some background reading, some good websites that possibly have other projects that have implemented with innovative projects that might be useful to benchmark against. And also we already showed you earlier the UIA and EUI projects that I've implemented, which are also a useful benchmark. Laura, thank you so much for joining us. Alessandro, before we go, I think it would be great if you can email us your question and we will go and speak to our finance director and give you a more developed answer, because it sounds like that would be helpful. But yeah, thank you all so much for your participation. We have 2 minutes left, and before we go, I promised that I'd give you some last tips on ongoing support that we have available to you. So we'll share a presentation slide shortly. But of course, this is not the end of our support. We will have support ongoing throughout the entire preparation phase. So as you all know, we have our Call 3 page and we have several resources on there, from the EUI guidance, the terms of reference to the call, the EEP guidance. The EEP is where you will submit your application online. Our application process is 100% paperless. You also find an application form courtesy working document, which you can also use to update your application form, and I strongly recommend using that. Ongoing support, we will have another online Q&A in 2 weeks' time, same place, so please don't hesitate to register. We will have online one-to-one consultations open for registration very soon as well, where you can get tailored support with one project officer if you have any specific questions regarding the technicalities of your projects. We've had several member state events conducted by the UCP. If anyone here is watching from the audience in Ireland, I'll be attending that on Monday with the Irish UCP, so looking forward to seeing you all there. And we also have applicant seminars in person as well. If you are also near Bucharest or Prague, come and see us, have a chat, we can help. So I think that's it for today. We've reached the timeline. Isabella, over to you if you have anything else you want to add.
Maybe the email address?
The email address, of course. Next slide. There we go. Innovative actions at urban-initiative.eu. Email us any questions you might have and we can get back to you. We've also got the website there as well. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for your questions and your participation. Please be reassured, if you email us, we can get back to you with any questions that we may have missed. Goodbye and good luck.
Thank you very much for participating and good luck with your application.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.